I call this the fourth meeting of House Standing Committee on Families and Children to order. As a reminder, please silence all cell phones so they don't become a distraction. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Baker. Representative Kleins.
Here.
Representative Decker.
Present.
Representative Dietz.
Here.
Representative Elliott. Representative Fleming.
Present.
Representative Gooch.
Here.
Representative Proctor.
Here.
Representative Rayburn.
Here.
Representative Raymond. Representative Rorts.
Here.
Representative Wilner.
Here.
Representative Wilson.
Here.
Vice Chair Riley.
Here.
Chair Heverin.
Here. Two notes to keep in mind. The total number of children in out-of-home care is 7,975 as of February, and we look forward to seeing the number next month. Hopefully it continues to decrease. And then I want to take a special moment to mention Vice Chair Riley. He is receiving the 2024 Warren County Public Schools Hall of Distinguished Fame alumni. Yes. So I just want to take a minute and brag on him. So if we can all congratulate him. Thank you. We're going to go a little out of order on the agenda today. We're going to start with Senate Bill 151 first, an act relating to relative and fictive kin caregivers. Senator Julie Rocky Adams, please make your way to the table and introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I am Julie Rocky Adams. I represent Senate District 36. And I'm here before you today to talk about Senate Bill 151. As you know, the last several General Assemblies, we've been really deliberative in our efforts to try to change our trajectory as far as child abuse and neglect. And where we were number one, we are not in that place anymore, and Kentucky is now moving in the right direction. So in that same vein of accomplishment, I have brought before you Senate Bill 151. I think it's a logical next step for us to go down. 151 has been developed to address the issues and concerns being raised by our relative and fictive caregivers. Some of you all may recall that in the spring of 2019, Kentucky began offering a relative foster care option. And this was designed to provide financial assistance similar to traditional foster care.
Motion on the bill.
So the Department for Community-Based Services and the courts have established
We've got a motion on the bill in a second. If you want to continue, you're welcome to, Senator Rocky Adams. We actually do have a committee sub, so can I get a motion on the committee sub?
Motion also.
Representative Fleming for a motion, second by Vice Chair Riley. And so then I need a motion on Senate Bill 151 as amended by the House Committee sub. A motion from Representative Fleming and a second by Representative Dietz. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Representative Rourke.
Thank you. I really appreciate the work that has been done on this effort. I have a constituent who reaches out to me regularly on the subject and is really looking for solutions to the problem of, if you're a family member who has not entered into an official foster household yet, and what that does to the child that they don't want to put that child back before a judge to create that distinction. So I know that there was a motion and a second on the bill, but can you in the sub? But can you just briefly explain what the changes were between the regular bill and then the sub, but also explain a little bit more about how folks that maybe have not entered into the official foster care distinction will benefit from this bill if you're just a fictive relative placement?
Sure. And as you know, the decision has already been made that the child has to leave the home. It's just kind of what slot do we need to put that child into. And the bill was a little bit more general over in the Senate side. We worked with the cabinet and Secretary Friedlander to kind of put a few more guardrails up about what that means. So you could go when a aunt or an uncle or a grandparent is faced with this decision, they can either go with traditional foster care. The child could go into that. The child could go into this type of new placement that we have, or they could just take them in. And so, but the problem is that once you made that decision, it was final. And so, you go down the road 4 months and you think, gosh, I'm a grandparent and I'm on a fixed income and I really can't afford to have this child in my care. What are my options? Well, you didn't have any options. So what we did is in the Senate bill allowing for those options in working with the cabinet, we just kind of put some guardrails on it so that you could change your mind, but there were some parameters on that. So you could have a change, like a one-time change in status, or it's within the first 120 days that you could make that decision to move into which option is best for your family and for the child that you're caring for.
Thank you.
Sure.
Representative Baker.
Thank you. I'm sorry. My question is more a procedural question. Are we voting on the sub or the bill?
I've got to go back and do a voice vote on the
Thank you.
sub, and then we will vote on the bill
Thank
once
you.
it's adopted. Any other questions? All right, let's get a voice vote on the substitute. All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? House Committee substitute passes. We do have a motion for the bill as amended by the House Committee substitute, so we will now ask the Secretary to please call the roll.
Representative Baker,
Yes.
Representative Kleins,
Yes.
Representative Decker,
Yes.
Representative Dietz,
Yes.
Representative Elliott, Representative Fleming, Representative Gooch, Representative Proctor,
Yes.
Representative Rayburn,
Yes.
Representative Raymond, Representative Riley, Representative Rourks,
Yes.
Representative Wilner,
Yes.
Representative Wilson, Chair Heverin.
The vote is 15-0. It passes favorably out of committee, and so should do so on the floor. Thank you, Senator Julie Rocky
This
Adams.
is the best committee ever. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda will be House Bill 271. Representative Wilson, could you please make your way to the testimony table along with any guests? Thank you very much.
Thank-
Representative Wilson, please introduce yourself and your guests.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Wilson, District 82, Whitley County.
Representative Rachel Rourks with District 38.
Stephanie Dietz from the 65th District.
Thank you all. We do have a motion on the sub. We don't have a motion. We do have a House Substitute Committee. Does anyone have a motion on the House Substitute? We've got a motion by Vice Chair Riley and a second by Representative Elliott. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? House Committee sub is adopted. Please move forward. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. A few years ago, changes in federal requirements for funding caused the Cabinet to begin using a new safety model of standardized decision making. This is for dependency, neglect, and abuse complaints. If y'all recall, we had a meeting where I want to say it was the first meeting in January 11th, where some of the family court judges came. They testified about fewer petitions being in front of their court than what they thought had come up in the past. That's what led to our working group being formed, which had some of the representatives and then some judges, the cabinet, were all involved in the working group. The committee sub, well, the bill started as, allowing written reports as well as the calls because the wait times were so long. The committee sub incorporates the results of that working group that we had is about 4 or 5 weeks long. So going through some more of the details, I'll have Representative Rourks go through some of the changes that we've made.
Yes. So again, we added, of course, in that teachers could also supply written reports instead of just oral over the phone reports to report dependency, abuse, and neglect. Another major change in the committee sub is that more than one professionalized reporting source when calling in on a case within a given time period would be able to be given more weight and immediately open an investigation into those dependency and abuse and neglect allegations. So we will also be able to have better data moving forward to see if that extra benefit is able to capture the spirit of what the working group set out to do, which was find a way to ensure that dependency, abuse, and neglect cases were not being reported and then going uninvestigated. So with that additional change in the committee sub, with the additional reporting requirements that'll be given to this committee, I think that we are going to be able to collect better data.
We've got a motion on a bill and a second. Does anyone have any questions? Representative Rayburn?
So with this bill, and I think it's a great bill, I know the wait times are really long, but do we have any provisions that would, a lot of times the cabinet sees frivolous complaints that come in, and that sometimes holds back their ability to pursue allegations of true neglect and abuse. Is there anything in here that will be a safeguard? And you've got people who don't put their name when they submit written requests or even call in, for their own protections. But do we have something in the bill that would, I don't know, calculate how many frivolous complaints there are? Or is there anything in there in this bill for them?
Well, there's going to be a lot of reporting requirements, and they'll be reporting to us. That's going to include how many calls, how many cases were investigated, how many of those investigations were substantiated. The problem we saw a couple months ago of what's been going on the last few years is not nearly enough investigations. So we're really not addressing the problem of too many investigations right now. There probably are some frivolous calls. One thing we talked about a lot was, when a teacher or a judge or a police officer calls in with a report or a complaint, we want to view that differently from an ex-husband or a new boyfriend or some sort of family dynamic or neighbor or anything like that. So that was one change we made. If there's two quote unquote professional reporting sources, then there's going to be an automatic investigation. So I think that's a safeguard in itself. Do you have anything else?
I just want to let everybody know this was brought to us by some of our family court judges. The concern was that the social workers or the cabinet workers may have been using they were making the decisions that maybe judges should be making. So actually what we heard was that there was actually under-reporting going back to the judges. So we're hoping that what this does is really send it back to the judges so they can make decisions. Unfortunately, what we heard from many family court judges is that children were dying. And that's what brought this to this committee, and we want to make sure that this decision-making is put in front of the judges and not just under this decision-making model where children are getting lost.
And to answer your question really directly, if you look on page 20 of the committee sub, it'll tell you some of the things that are going to be included in the reporting, the monthly reporting that we'll be getting back to this committee and some of the interim joint committees. Things like number of all intakes, all child protective service response intakes with allegations of abuse and neglect, reports that met acceptance criteria, reports with a substantiated or service needed finding, and reports with a substantiated finding. So I think that's going to get to your point of we'll be able to look better at that data to see what were the calls that maybe were, unsubstantiated versus which calls were substantiated, and any safeguards for the things that we're seeing today that might have been missing in the cracks with those professionalized reporting sources that can be found on page 23.
And the reporting's a big part of it because we're talking about an issue that's always going to be ongoing. Any changes we might make in the future, budget issues, how many social workers do we have, how many do we need? So that is a big part of the bill, yes.
Thank you all. Any other questions? I know Judge Hellard is on via Zoom, and I would like to give her just a minute to share any comments. She's been a big part of this with coming to us in January and then being part of the working group. So Judge Hellard, I'll toss the floor over to you.
Thank you, Representative Hebron, Chairperson. I appreciate the the voice that you all have allowed me to be in this. I thank you for this bill. I think this bill is a huge win for the children in the state of Kentucky. I want to say to all of you who have worked on this, you have effectuated a change for the children in Kentucky with this bill. I cannot say that loudly enough. I want to point out a couple of things to you as I poured over this bill. I got it yesterday and I started pouring over it last night and again this morning. There are a couple of things that I wanted to just say to you. I don't know what this process is like, so I'll tell you all these things and you do with it what you will. But on that page 20 that you were just speaking about, Representative, I believe that paragraph, that new addition to 620.032 is part of the huge win. Because you're going to start looking at this and you're going to see some issues that we're having with centralized intake when you view these things. The other part that I wanted to talk to you about, the presumption, I think that's a huge win. But on page 23, where it talks about you'll automatically accept, the cabinet will automatically accept in paragraph 3 for investigation or report from a court that makes a report pursuant to the requirements in KRS chapter 620 that a child is abused or neglected, and identifies that the child is a protective person in an EPO. I wonder if we could make that an or there instead of and. Just a suggestion to you folks. And then on page 24, in numerical paragraphs 1, 2, and 3, where it says dependency, it refers to dependency. I think that gives the cabinet a way out. I would like to see you add dependency, neglect, and or abuse there, just so that they don't get to say, oh, well, we didn't have to report neglect or abuse. I don't think that was your intention there, and I just wanted to point that out to you. The rest of it, I just went through and I thought everything was great. Those are my comments on that. Thank you all.
Thank you, Judge Hellard. I greatly appreciate it. We will we'll talk to the bill sponsor and see if there's a need for a House floor amendment when it goes to the floor. And I think Judge Pence is on. I just want to take a minute to thank her also for all the work that she's done. We do have a long agenda today, so we do need to move forward. But I really want to take a minute to, it's been a great working group. Representative Decker, Representative Dietz, Representative Wilson, and Representative Rourke. It's been a true bipartisan effort. And I think that's something that we sometimes miss in Frankfort, is getting to all work together on issues, looking at things that we all get along on, and we know we want to move Kentucky forward. And so I just want to take a minute and brag on those representatives for doing that. We had several late nights and several long, hard conversations. When you have a large stakeholder group, not everyone's going to get their way. But I think this is a great first step to move Kentucky forward and really be able to have the conversation of weighted professional reporting sources, making sure safety plans are actually in the statutes. This has been a really great work. So I want to commend you all for your work. I do need a motion on the bill as amended by the House Committee substitute. We've got a motion by Representative Kleins and a second by Representative Fleming. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Baker, Representative Kleins, Representative Decker,
Yes.
Representative Dietz,
Yes.
Representative Elliott, Representative Fleming,
Aye.
Representative Gooch,
Aye.
Representative Proctor, Representative Rayburn,
Yes.
Representative Raymond, Representative Riley, Representative Rourke,
Yes.
Representative Wilner,
Yes.
Representative Wilson,
Yes.
Chair Heverin.
Yes. The bill passes with favorable expression, 15-0, and is to do so on the floor as well. Thank you all. Next on the agenda will be House Bill 476, an act related to termination of parental rights. Representative Elliott, can you please make your way to the testimony table? and introduce yourself for the record. And I'd like to go ahead. We do have a House Committee Substitute 2. Can we go ahead and get a motion on the House Committee Substitute 2? Motion by Vice Chair Riley. Second by Representative Kleins. All in favor say aye. All opposed. The House Committee Substitute 2 is adopted. Representative Elliott, please introduce yourself and continue.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and happy Leap Day 2024 to everybody. House Bill 476 would create a new section of KRS Chapter 625 to allow a parent to voluntarily terminate his or her parental rights during a dependency, neglect, or abuse proceeding under 620 by signing a consent form which would be prescribed and laid out in the bill from the Administrative Office of the Courts. And so the rationale behind this is to avoid the expense and unnecessary time of a separate TPR proceeding, which under our current law has to be initiated in order for a parent to voluntarily or involuntarily terminate his or her rights. The substitute, which Representative Dietz helped me on, which I appreciate very much, aligned some of the language related to what would be included in the form that would be signed by the parent, and also added language after I spoke with a family court judge that the court would have to make a finding that the termination suited the best interests of the minor child. So the court could deny a voluntary petition or a voluntary termination in this case if the court felt that at that time it wasn't an appropriate step or in the best interest of the minor child. So happy to entertain any questions.
Do any members have any questions? Representative Wilson?
What effect does this have on someone paying child support?
Yeah, that's a good question. It would have the effect, obviously, a termination of parental rights would vitiate the obligation. And so that was one point that was brought up by the family court judge that I spoke to in my district, that in some cases, if a parent is paying child support, they end up in a DNA dependency, neglect, or abuse case, and they come forward and say, I want to voluntarily terminate my rights, and the primary motivation behind that is avoiding child support, then the court could deny that voluntary application.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion on the bill as amended by House Committee Substitute 2? Motion by Representative Dietz and a second by Vice Chair Riley. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Baker. Yes. Representative Kleins.
Yes.
Representative Decker.
Yes.
Representative Dietz.
Yes.
Representative Elliott. Representative Fleming.
Aye.
Representative Gooch.
Aye.
Representative Proctor. Yes. Representative Rayburn.
Yes.
Representative Raymond. Yes. Representative Riley.
Yes.
Representative Rourks.
Yes.
Representative Wilner.
Yes.
Representative Wilson.
Can I briefly explain? I just wanted to say I've seen people with that being their primary motivation, so I want to say thank you for thinking of that and including in the bill that it'd still be up to the judge to decide what's the best interest of the child. So thank you, and yes.
Chair Heverin.
Yes. Bill passes 15-0 with favorable expression. Should do so on the floor. Thank you, Representative Elliott. Our last item on the agenda today will be House Bill 491. And I would like to take a minute of personal privilege to welcome Representative Williams, Mayor, and Brothers Barbecue owner. If you all have been to Hopkinsville, or Madisonville, make sure to visit Brothers Barbecue. It's a great barbecue joint in Western Kentucky. Representative Williams, please introduce yourself for the record and introduce your guest, and then you can proceed forward.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Wade Williams, House Representative, District 4, and I'd like for my guests to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Will Schneider, Elite Martial Arts, also Kentucky Association of Martial Arts Schools, Richmond, Kentucky.
Hi, my name's Harry Hunsucker. I am the owner and CEO of Hurricane Mixed Martial Arts, also a member of the Kentucky Association of Martial Arts Schools.
Madam Chair, I think there's a committee sub.
There is a House Committee sub. Do I have a motion on the House Committee sub? Motion by Representative Kleins and a second by Representative Wilson. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Committee sub is adopted. Please move forward.
Just a brief description of the committee sub. We started with a one-word change in this document, and as we got further input from the cabinet and the individuals that are affected by this, we decided to try to make some more detailed clarifying language for the cabinet and for those individual participants. So with these guys here today, I don't know if I've ever felt so safe or so scared, depending on how I do here today. But House Bill 491 is a clarification bill that defines more clearly the differences between after-school programs and actual child care centers. This bill highlights the exemption of instructional programs from child care regulations by allowing programs to provide more than one skill, talent, ability, expertise, or proficiency. The House Committee sub clarifies that exemption applies to recreational, educational, sports training, vacation programs, including but not limited to martial arts, dance programs, and this change was made, like I said earlier, from feedback from stakeholders and the cabinet. And I would add that the current statute remains the same governing this exemption, and instructional programs already requires program to notify parents and guardians that it is not a child care facility. The program only operates outside the time period when school is in session, and the program is required to conduct background checks for all employees and volunteers who work with those children. Now, I'll turn it over to my guests and let them kind of describe what they deal with it.
We do have a motion and a second on the bill. Motion by Representative Klein, second by Representative Dietz. I would like to go ahead and give a minute, though, for your guests to speak, because I think that they traveled a distance. After you all speak, we do have Teresa Lawler, who is going to speak against the bill if she's here. No? Oh. Okay, so Ian Lawler is speaking in favor, and Teresa Law wished to speak. Sorry. We usually don't have people come speak. All right, never mind. Go forward.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Will Schneider. I want to thank you all so much for taking the time up for this bill, for addressing this bill. I think it's much needed for kids and parents that are looking for instructional-based programs. I have 4 locations in Richmond, Lexington, Winchester, and Nicholasville. And I think this is going to be great. I think this is going to help out families a lot. And it gives a good black and white clarity of, what roles programs are. And I think this is just going to be great. This is something that we've been working on for years through different avenues and stuff. And I know we have a big group here with the Kentucky Association of Martial Arts Schools. We're all small business owners. We're just we're here to do the right thing, and we're excited to see where it goes. But yeah, I think this is going to help out a lot. It just gives parents more options as well. As we all know, there's some challenges in that field, and this will give more options. Obviously, like Rep. Williams said, I think they're going to be in a pretty safe environment, and we'll look forward to taking any questions you have. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Harry Hunsucker. I want to thank you guys for having me today. I've fought all over the country, and I don't think I've ever been as nervous as I am right now. So, I just want to speak on behalf of, myself, and I know that my colleagues that are here with me can say this too. I came straight out of college and started working for Will, and about 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to buy my location from him, and I took my entire life savings, and I also took out a pretty hefty loan to make this possible. And now everything that I've done in my life is at risk because of just small nuances in this bill. And just things that weren't clarified. So, I just want to thank you guys for being so open to hearing us today, because we're good people. You know what I mean? We're doing the right thing. We're changing lives through martial arts. I mean, me and the crew of people sitting behind me have produced, better functioning kids that have been victims to some of the things that you guys have been talking about today, that I've had the opportunity to sit here and listen. Victims of sexual assault, kids that have been beaten on, neglected by their parents. A large percentage of the kids that come to us are kids that come from homes of domestic violence because their parents are trying to get them into a good program that will help them. And I mean, from that, we've produced regional, state, national, and world champion martial artists in the programs that we provide. I mean, we've taken kids to ESPN's Wide World of Sports and brought kids home that were participating in our programs that we helped raise money for. We fundraised for them. We go the extra mile to help these kids where some of the centers aren't. And we're a great thing for our community. And I mean, I would invite all of you guys to look at my Google review page at some of the testimonies from parents of kids that we've literally changed their lives. And it's changed my life. I mean, I lost my brother a week ago to a fentanyl overdose. And, I could be sitting in the same spot as him right now if it wasn't for martial arts. And I don't want our children in our community to be robbed of that, because I'm in the community that my brother died in right now. And I'm changing lives of kids that, without our programs, there's no telling what would happen to them. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you for your testimony and your vulnerability. We're so sorry for the loss of your brother, but we appreciate the investment that you make into your lives. That's something that we talk about frequently here, and it's nice when we see the public being involved in kids' lives to make their lives better. We've got several people signed up to speak, all in favor. But I would like to say a rule of thumb: if you've got a motion and a second on the bill, sometimes it's better less is more, and we don't want you to say something that causes someone to change their vote. But if there's something you really got to say, feel free to come up. But I would like to go ahead and open it up for questions. We've got Representative Wilner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the bill. Thank you for the testimony. I'm very sorry for your loss, and that you're able to channel your grief into making sure that the kids you're serving have a different outcome. I really respect and admire that. So thank you. And so in my mind, there's a pretty clear distinction between childcare and after-school instructional programs like this, whether it's martial arts or dance or art classes or any number of things. Right. So I guess I need some clearer understanding of what the problem is that this bill solves.
I can speak to this specifically in that we deleted the line B. So line B says does not provide service or offerings not directly related to a single talent. So one of the problems that we found with this, so a local martial arts academy in my area was doing a martial arts after school program. Well, as part of that, they have a little section where they do dodgeball, where they're moving, functional movement, back and forth, hand-eye coordination. Well, some of the folks that were inspecting them said that, well, since it was dodgeball and not martial arts, you are now not a primary skill facility. So the clarification on this, I think, is what we want to give the cabinet that ability, and also that we know that these individual locations understand that as well.
May I follow up?
You may.
So once, you're now, I guess in the cabinet's mind or somebody's mind, you're no longer a martial arts facility, you're an everything goes facility. And so then at that point, these businesses fall subject to childcare regulations?
Well, it's what we've used the term primary versus a single skill. So it's primarily focused on that, and it would revert to the non-child care regulations that's associated with that.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Representative Wilner, yes, they are being looked at as a full-on childcare facility,
Yeah.
and obviously they're not set up for that because of the single skill. Just to point it out on page 6, because I was looking for it on page 6 of the original bill, what they did is just they marked out single in section 21A and 21B, and then in the House Committee substitute, we worked with the cabinet and made it a little more specific, and we didn't want to. We wanted to tighten it up a little bit, just so if you decided you wanted to do 2 skills, and and then you didn't exempt yourself from being a child care facility. So I appreciate Representative Williams and the cabinet both being able to work together to come up with some more stricter language rather than just marking out single, but being more specific in that. Because of course, if you do have a lot of children and your intent is to be a child care facility, we want to make sure that you are regulated with that because you're in charge of kids. But if you're doing an after-school program, just makes it a little different. Thank you. So we've got a motion on the bill and a second. Representative Klein's.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Students who participate in extracurricular activities, perform better in school. And while the members of the association and obviously our speakers are here, I just want to thank you for helping us educate the whole child. We really appreciate it.
Seeing no further questions, Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Baker, Representative Kleins,
Yes.
Representative Decker,
Yes.
Representative Dietz,
Yes.
Representative Elliott, Representative Fleming,
Aye.
Representative Gooch,
Yes.
Representative Proctor, Representative Rayburn,
Yes.
Representative Raymond, Representative Riley,
Yes.
Representative Rourke,
Yes.
Representative Wilner,
Yes.
Representative Wilson, Chair Heverin.
Yes. The bill passes 15-0 with favorable expression and should do so on the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair,
Congratulations.
member of the committee.
The next scheduled meeting of the House Standing Committee on Families and Children is on Thursday, March 7th, 2024 at 9 a.m. in room 171 of the Annex. We look forward to seeing you there. Can I get a motion to adjourn? The meeting is